what was I saying? Do you ever feel a lack of motivation? I've been going out a lot. I'm still working, guys. Hello, and welcome back to the Mangaka Education Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Chen. I am a writer-producer for the Manga Webtoon and now anime space. I run a studio that pretty much creates stories for the kind of anime realm. This video is to answer your questions about the anime, manga, and webtoon industry. But before we get into the video, make sure to drop a like for the YouTube algorithm, really helps us out. And subscribe if you haven't, if you want to learn more about the manga, webtoon, anime industry behind the scenes, or just have fun learning about the production with me. And yeah, let's get right into the video. So the first question is from Patreon. If you guys didn't know, we have a Patreon. Patreon questions are prioritized to get into the video. And also every single dollar goes back into reinvesting into artists and manga and webtoon productions. So I don't pocket any of this money. All the money is reinvested back into the business. Alexios Drake 62 says, how many episodes should you do before the next step when drawing the webtoon? I think what he's trying to say is, how many episodes are you writing before you start to draw? You know, I wouldn't recommend doing too many detailed scripts ahead of the art, because for example, if you do a character in a particular design, or if you draw a certain way and then you make a change in episode 1, then that has rippling effects across episode 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you wrote a lot of chapters, that can be really annoying because all of those have to be adjusted and changed. Instead, the better way is to plan out your entire season. We call this story beats. You'll plan out what happens in every single episode up until the end of the season. And it's just really general stuff. You just have bullet notes. And then basically what ends up happening is if you make that big change, you just have to switch bullet notes. So it's not that big of a lift there. In terms of like actual scripting, I would say if you can do like at least one chapter to 2 chapters ahead, that's probably good. I think 3 chapters is like the sweet spot. You're doing well if you have 3 chapters written ahead of your actual art production. Jan asked 4 questions that are all related to my projects. When is God Game new chapters be out soon? God Game's chapters, we actually have built a pretty big buffer. We have like 20 chapters completely in the backlog there. So I don't know why they haven't released it or when they're going to release it. I think they should release it soon. That's what I would like, but they haven't. So I'm kind of waiting for them on that. So hopefully soon, I will let you guys know as soon as that happens. Are you planning to release Nora as webcomics? So if you guys didn't know, Nora is a novel that I wrote back in the day. It was released with Tapas. I pulled it out, thinking about either finding a traditional publisher or just releasing it on my own. A webcomic would be amazing, but I haven't found the right partners for that. I think it would be hard because I would need to, when you look for a webtoon partner, usually they want control over, not control, but they want partnership on the intellectual property in some capacity if they're getting involved at the webtoon level. The difference is here that the intellectual property already exists as a novel, but I'm asking to produce it also as a webtoon. So how do you find the right partner for the webtoon that will give you the money to invest and produce that webtoon series without giving them any of the novel? That's kind of like the hard part about it. And so I struggled to find a real good deal that could actually make that kind of happen. So if I do find that deal with any publisher, then I will definitely take it. When are there going to be physical copies of God Game, Just a Goblin, or Samurai no Tora? I can tell you're a big fan. So that's awesome. That's awesome. So God Game, I got word recently that we're going to be working on printed copies. So thank God. I've been asking them for that for 20,000 years. Just a Goblin, Samurai no Tora, I have no idea. That's on my publisher, which is Webtoon's side. So they have to handle that. And unfortunately, I don't have a say. Up to them. I'll let you guys know as soon as any of that magic happens. So next question is God Game. When are you getting merch for it? Well, guys, Voice Me is actually coming out with God Game merch, which we're announcing today. If you guys didn't know, God Game was the first series that I was ever serialized with. Voice Me was lucky enough to give me an opportunity. This was back when I was in finance too, so I had no serializations under my belt, and I proved myself with God Game. So that was the series that also jump-started my career, and is probably we've produced up to 100 chapters at this point of the actual series. We have a spin-off, God Game Outcast, coming out, and now there's merchandise, which is freaking crazy. And so yeah, they've got everything from shirts, hats, you name it, a lot of different designs. Leave comments on what you think about the designs. I'm going to be throwing them up here here, just because, yeah, we can also iterate and learn from what you guys are thinking, and we can create more products based on what the fans and what you guys want. But yeah, I'm gonna have a link for the God Game merchandise down below. I really think that if you like God Game, these are sick merch designs, but even if you don't, these are designs that I think that are just cool. And so yeah, again, voice me. Thank you so much for making God Game merch finally. And you guys, thank you guys so much for supporting the series. And yeah, if you're interested in any merch, link in the description for merch for God Game, but also other series on Voice Me as well. Chung Moa says, I remember you flipping between writing and drawing in an older video and chose writing. When did you pick up drawing again? What was your process to start drawing again? Did you still draw after choosing writing all those years ago? If so, can we see a few pieces throughout the years? Okay, so yeah, when I was 14 years old, I was between writing and art. At that point, I had been drawing and I had been writing, and I realized at some point, you know, it takes a lot of time to get good at one or the other, and I have limited amount of time in my day as a high schooler. And so I decided, like, yo, I'm just gonna pick one. So I flipped a coin. Heads, I'm a writer. Tails, I'm an artist. Land on heads, I had entirely just quit my career of drawing. And so your question asks, like, Brandon, did you ever pick up drawing? No, I don't draw for fun anymore. I just like completely quit. I threw out my pencils. Yeah, I don't draw for fun anymore, and it's kind of unfortunate. Some part of me like wants to pick up the pen again, but it would be a whole new skill I'd have to learn all over again. The most I will ever do now these days is like sketch something out. So I never have a completed piece. Usually drawing is a way for me to convey a storyboard or an artistic vision that I already have when I'm writing. So it's more art direction related. I'm rarely out there actually drawing anymore. And it's been that way since I was 14. I'm very disciplined. As soon as I say I'm not going to do something or I'm going to do something, it's done. So yeah, I committed to writing, and I've been writing my entire life as a result of that one coin flip. And I have completely not touched art ever since that day. So I'm very crazy for that. That was a very anime protagonist thing for me to do. And I'm quite proud that I stuck to it, because I think, you know, if I had done art, there's no way I would be anywhere near where I am today. Just because, again, it would have been hard for me to get good at art or writing. Again, it would be really hard for me to get good at both. What is the process you go through to direct your studio? How do you create a studio yourself? Maybe short interviews from each member of your studio about their process for each chapter. Thanks, dude. Thanks, Anthony, for submitting that question. What is the process you go through to direct your studio? So the studio Inspired Productions is built around me as a talent. There's other studios out there that are built more as a service studio. So a good example would be Studio Mappa, which is an animation studio, is a service studio. What is a service studio? It means that they are not built around a originals pipeline. They do have originals that they do, but you know, people can come to them with intellectual property and they can pretty much just make that. And so I don't do that. I create mostly original IP. The way I direct the studio, I mean, this is like a whole bit like business class pretty much, right? It's like I'm out there. Just so you guys know my involvement at Inspired Productions, I am the agent or the intermediary between the studio and the publishers. So I work directly with a lot of different publishers, and I have these stories that I have in my head and I sell them to the publisher, right? I'll be like, hey, I have this log line, this summary, this whatever, here's the pitch. I'll sell this to you. Do you want it? Do you want to fund it? Do you want to partner on it? Whatever. And they tell me yes or no. And depending if they say yes, then I go and I hire teammates that will be on the team. And so I also build the team for that production. And after I build the team, then it's up to me to actually make the thing happen. And so I will write the scripts, I will write the story, and then the teammates will execute their parts, you know, storyboards, inks, colors, whatever. And then I'm involved more or less at the art production stage. Again, it depends sometimes on the deal. So for example, God Game, I'm the writer, and Voice Me has an internal studio that we work with. And I just write it and, you know, I art direct, and that's it. It's very chill. For series like Just a Goblin or Angel Wings, it's a lot more involved. So I write the script, you know, we were involved in pitching it. We were involved in the production stages. You know, Angel Wings is a good example, but like I'm involved in the background coloring reviews, inking reviews, the character coloring reviews. So I'm involved at every stage of those different productions. I'm also involved in marketing, obviously the project. Hence I'm making videos like this. Hello, Angel Wings. When it comes out, please check it out. Yeah, I mean, in terms of like starting a studio, I would say like, you know, there's nothing stopping every single human being from starting their own studio, but it's like, what makes you capable of being able to produce these things? I think a studio is useful because you want to produce projects at scale. It's like multiple projects. If you can barely keep up with writing one series, then doing a studio is probably not something you need to do. It's for people who are trying to make multiple multiple series and scale outside of just doing one project. And yeah, so that's the purpose of a studio. Short interviews from each member. We could do that one day. I'm not opposed. I do think that a lot of my teammates are like camera shy. And like don't want to have their faces online. Maybe. I think like we would need to do like a little consent form before I decide to put anyone on blast there. Alex Bomar asks, hey, was there any difference from Webtoon and Voice Me, or is it generally the same? I mean, there's a lot of differences, right? There's differences from the production standpoint of pitching. There's differences in the deal structures. There's differences in reach, freedom, creative freedom, but also business freedom. I can't say one specific thing or the other without breaking any NDAs. Yeah, of course, every single publisher, I will say this, every publisher has pros and cons to working with them. Every publisher and partner will always have something different about them. You know, whether it's they're a larger company, so they have more resources, but then maybe they move slower on other things, or maybe they're a smaller company and they move faster on other things, but maybe they have less resources, or maybe they also have resources, but there's just different priorities and that kind of stuff. You know, I think every company has its own pros and cons, and there's some companies that are massive and don't have any, and are not, you know, don't have the reach and don't have all the other stuff too. So there's just some that are just out there that are just not great either. So I would say that, yeah, every company has its own differences. The best way to find out which is the right company for you is to take a project that you have, sell it to everyone. If everyone wants it, then you can see what their deal structure looks like and then what the best benefit is for you and where you think the home is best for your project. It's very similar to job hunting. This is how I used to job hunt. It's like you flirt with a little bit everyone in the industry, and then whoever gives you the best deal, or not the best deal, but it's also wherever you can see the project thriving the most, even outside of just money, that's where best home might be. Okay, so those are all the questions from Patreon. Let's get into the questions from the Instagram. So thank you guys so much for submitting your questions on Instagram here. What inspires you to make your characters so lifelike? I don't know what you mean by lifelike, if you mean like energetic or having life. I watch a lot of anime, I read a lot of manga. I think a lot of the characters and characters that I do are archetypes of characters that are done in anime and manga. And because I work in that space, that's what I like to do. I do also base some characters off of people that I know, people that I've met, people that I interpret in some way, and to make them, I guess, realistic or interact realistically, I draw inspiration from is like real people. Have you ever considered doing a romantic comedy series? Dude, have I? I would love to do a romance. I'm not even joking. I'd love to do a romance. I'm just waiting for the right opportunity, the right partners. We pitched some romance stuff out there. I still want to do it. I just want to get a few things off the ground first and like make sure that these Angel Wings and Double Kill and these other productions are going through before I embark on that next journey. But yes, I do want to do a romantic comedy. That would be sick. Have you ever had to fire an artist for problems such as not meeting deadlines? I have had to fire artists for not meeting deadlines. I think it's tough because we work in an industry that's serialized and is not great for a lot of people's health. Meeting weekly deadlines is like really hard sometimes, but you know, sometimes the show must go on, you know, whether it's with an artist or another artist, and usually they're very understanding if, you know, they can't meet a weekly deadline, but we have no choice, you know, we have to meet the deadline. And so having to replace artists and fire anyone is always a very hard thing, but you know, it's not something I want to do. It's just sometimes you have to do it because you have to meet the deadlines. You are writing so many series right now. Do you ever feel a lack of motivation? Yeah, I think I was having a really tough early start to the year. A lot of personal stuff was happening, and so I was just slower at writing. And because writing is such a brain power thing, so whenever something personal happens, I noticed that my brain power and writing capability is just a lot slower. And if I'm not reading and consuming and watching movies and also experiencing life and going out there and doing cool things, my ability to write efficiently and write newer content that feels fresh is actually stalled. Again, it's summer now. I've been going out a lot. I've been seeing my friends a lot. I've been reading a lot. I've been writing a lot. I'm still working, guys. I know it sounds like I'm not working, but I work a lot. Because I've been doing all those things, I feel more inspired and more efficient than ever. But yeah, I think, you know, sometimes I feel not motivated every single day. Like, it's just, that's life, you know, mental health, super important. And not every day is a great day, but, you know, I think the best part about serialization, or for writing for serialization, is that I can write very far ahead, so I have that buffer. I think the secondary thing is also, you know, it's not just me. You know, I think I work with a very great team of artists that are always covering my back. I can always bounce ideas off of other people. I'm very collaborative, so I work with artists sometimes on the narrative, like, hey, what do you think about this idea? What about this idea? Et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, it's not just me writing these series. I think a lot of it is working collaboratively with partners to make sure it's good. That being said, I try and show up every day and write, whether or not it's good or bad, you know, we'll see, you know. Hey, Brandon, what's your favorite webtoon you made? And don't forget to like and sub. Thank you, Spirited. And yeah, don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you haven't yet. My favorite webtoon that I've made, this is not my favorite one, but I think I did a really good job on this series called Kinfire First Expedition. And again, this is a client project, meaning that it's not my intellectual property, but I think I killed this. I think I did super well. If you guys don't know, Kinfire First Expedition is a series on Webtoon Canvas. It's not under my name, which is probably why you guys have not found it, but it is with the producer of Arcane League of Legends, who was helping me produce this series. And yeah, we just, you know, I did the narrative, obviously was a big fan of Arcane, and tried to channel that energy into this series. And I thought it came out super well. I thought we killed this. I thought we did really nice on the characters, on the narrative. Again, it was written in a very Western narrative approach, but I think I did pretty well in that series on the narrative side. So I was pretty happy with how that one came out. And obviously my friend Shinilis, who is the lead artist on that series, was also killing it on the art side. So Kinfire, underrated. Otherwise, I'm really excited for where God Game is going right now. I think that's a really exciting series. And Just a Goblin, obviously, killer. Awesome. Thank you guys. This video is super long. So guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like and comment your next questions. Subscribe if you haven't. And we always do this thing where I say a secret word if you've gotten this far. And you guys got to tell me, comment the secret word. What should be the secret word be today? Let's make it water bottle. That's 2 words. Oh, no. Let's not make it water bottle. Let's make it hydrate. I like that one. Hydrate. That's a cool word. So if you've gotten this far in the video, comment hydrate. And also feel free to comment any questions that you guys have about the manga webtoon anime industry, or if you want to just leave a comment asking me something personal, happy to do so, or answer on the next video. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this week's video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.